Honda Civic Type R Limited Edition. Finally getting a chance behind the wheel. You know me, I love the Civic Type R, and this is kind of the last hurrah for the 10th generation. A bit sad, this is maybe one of the last one of these I'll get to drive, unless if I go buy my own someday, which I've thought about. This limited edition is bright yellow. It has about 50 pounds shaved off the curb weight. It's now around 3,071 pounds, which is pretty impressive. We have lighter weight BBS forged wheels. This is sharper, lighter weight, just a little bit faster around the track. They did a lot of testing around Suzuka, broke the lap record in this limited edition. Slightly stiffer. Honda has tweaked the dampers. We've got a rear wiper delete to shave weight. Gone are the rear seat HVAC vents. And they've taken a couple other things out, like some sound deadening. Really, this doesn't feel that much different from the normal Type R. It's quite a bit more expensive though, about $44,000-$45,000 MSRP, though I think you'd struggle to get one under 60 grand at a dealer with markups the way they are. The great thing about the Type R is it is one of the fizziest and most engaging cars on sale today, but it's also just a Honda Civic. It's a normal vehicle. You can use it on a daily basis. We don't have a spare tire. We have a tire inflation kit, and gone is this sliding rear cover. So we also have a black painted roof, which looks pretty cool. Same 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, 306 horsepower, 6-speed manual transmission, limited slip differential. Oh, and we have Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, which are definitely an improvement over the Continentals that usually come on the Type R. I still think the 20-inch wheels are a bit too big for something like this, but they look good, and the engineers, I'm sure, know what they're doing, because this car is just one of the best front-wheel drive cars ever made. It is incredible. I've pretty much said everything I want to say about the Type R at this point with all the videos that we've had on it. I don't know how many I've filmed, but it's been close to countless. Some people seem to think this should be all-wheel drive. They're wrong. It would be heavier, slower, and more boring. This is just a masterpiece in front-wheel drive tuning and chassis setup. I've always been a fan of front-wheel drive. I learned performance driving in a front-wheel drive platform in my old Volvo 850. And there is a element of fun to the power going through the front wheels, a little element of unpredictability, and that's what you see in this Type R. It's just more engaging, it's more exciting, and okay, let's go for a drive. One of the best 6-speed manual transmissions on sale. Super sharp, super tactile. Oh, yeah, it's just perfection. The steering is one of the highlights in this car for me. You can actually feel the engine buzzing through the steering column. You can tell what RPM you're at just by holding the steering wheel. How many new cars with electric power steering can do that? The answer is very few, and I'm so glad this Type R is just as good as it is. Honda still gives us 3 drive modes: Sport, Comfort, and Plus R. Plus R is noticeably stiffer in this Type R. Sport is a little bit stiffer, and Comfort feels about the same as it always has. Dulls your throttle response. A lot easier to drive, smoother. This truly does have a Jekyll Hyde personality. It's comfortable, quiet, luxurious in Comfort mode, and then in Plus R mode it turns into a complete maniac that just bounces everywhere. Does it feel that much different from the standard Type R? Honestly, not really. The color's the big one. The limited edition factor is a big one. There's only 600 of these coming to the United States. This Type R has active rev matching enabled right now. You can go into the menu and disable that if you choose. It is a really good system though, and I've chosen to leave it on for most of my driving this week. So much fun. Engine just sounds like a big, boosty vacuum cleaner. In comfort mode, we don't have the fake piped-in noise that we do in Plus R. The drive modes do change the sound quite a bit. I'll give you guys a little taste of that here. You can really hear that fake sound above 5,000 RPM. It just gets a little bit digital. I'm not a fan of it, never was. But in sport, it sounds a little bit more natural, and in comfort, it's pretty much the raw engine sound. That is one complaint I've always had about this Type R, is that it would be nice to kind of differentiate some settings within the drive modes. I believe you can only fully disable stability control, traction control, and Plus R mode. And in that mode, it gets a little bit stiff. Even for some tracks, I think the suspension in this car would be a little bit too stiff. A lot of the tracks here in Michigan are bumpier than they are on the rest of the country, and a lot of the roads in Michigan are bumpier than they are on the rest of the country. And in Plus R, this car is so stiff that I feel like you'd be struggling for traction in anything but a perfect smooth surface. Minor gripes for what is otherwise front-wheel drive perfection. For the 2020 model year, we also gained a nice, modern, sophisticated cruise control system. You have adaptive cruise control, which actually works quite well. You can change your following distance right here on the steering wheel, and you have lane centering, lane keep assist, which does a pretty nice job keeping you centered between the lines. The previous cruise control in the 2019 and prior Civic Type Rs felt like something out of a car from the 2000s or 90s. It was just on. It didn't even show you what speed you had set cruise control to. You just get a subtle beep and a little red flash on the gauge cluster when you hit red line, telling you when to shift. We'll leave it in sport mode around these corners here. See how it does. You just gotta love the way this tracks through a corner, carves its line, no understeer, no oversteer, no drama. You can really get this car out of sorts if you want to. You can chuck it in, back it into a corner, get that rear end to slide out. But as it is, if you drive it smoothly, it rewards you with just perfect chassis dynamics. Love it. Big difference from these Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. A lot more grip out of corners. It really hooks up coming out of a turn. Traction, stability, everything was full off.
Police reported ahead.
And there was never really that much grip coming out of a corner on throttle in the regular Civic Type R. That's mostly a tire thing, and it could be the suspension tuning too, some of the tweaks here. really a magical front-wheel drive car to drive. Definitely, at least in this tester, a little bit less understeer than the normal Civic Type R. Maybe down to tires, could be down to the suspension tweaks that Honda made, perhaps a little bit more negative camber out of a track-oriented alignment. This is one of the greats. So really, I mean, I don't have that much more to add about this limited edition than a lot of the other videos out there. I wanted to take you guys out in this car, one last drive, give you a taste with some of the changes, show you what it's like to drive, and just enjoy it, because this is still one of my favorite cars on sale. Have a Civic Type R and you've kept the stock 20-inch wheels, I would highly recommend getting a set of these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. A much better handling tire than the Continentals that are on the standard Civic Type R. I do hope that some of the people who scoop up these limited edition cars drive them. Because they are just magnificent on the road and on the track. You can hear how much stickier these Pilot Sport Cup 2s are, just on how many rocks they're picking up right now. So, how can we sum up some of the differences with the Civic Type R limited edition, besides the fact that it's yellow and lighter and just a little bit sharper? Well, I'm noticing some different handling characteristics. Not sure if it's the tires, not sure if it's the suspension tuning, maybe it's a combination of both, but we've got a lot less understeer on throttle at high speeds in third gear and second gear and fourth gear corners. This seems to be a little bit more buttoned down. The steering has just the perfect weight and perfect amount of feel through it. Again, I can feel the engine vibrating through the steering wheel, and it's such a refreshing, beautiful sensation to feel that again in a modern car. This 6-speed manual shifter is just about perfection. No funkiness with this one this week. It is just, it's sublime. I'm even not as bothered about the sound in Plus R mode as I used to be. I don't think Honda has ruined this limited edition Type R with stiffer suspension. Yes, Plus R mode is stiff, but it's not too stiff. I mean, it could still work on track. What are the actual lap times? I think it depends on the track that you're driving on. If you're on a really smooth course, the stiffer suspension will help you. If you're on a little bit of a bumpier course, you're going to want to put it in sport mode, and then you're going to lose out on turning off everything. But maybe that's okay. Depends on what kind of a driver you are and how many people are actually going to be tracking their limited edition Type Rs. Who knows? All I know is I just love this thing. It's good to get back into one of these. If I didn't have the Volvo 850R, I'd have one in my garage. No doubt. Probably not a limited edition. A little bit rich for my blood, but definitely a 2020. Okay, guys. Well, is this the last drive in a 10th gen Civic Type R? Probably not. I'm sure I'll get another go someday. But definitely one of the last press cars we'll be getting. And big thanks to Honda for letting us have this one this week. It's been a joy driving this the last few days. Yeah. Am I a fan of the yellow? I mean, I guess the yellow I love, but the red interior with the yellow, nah. It would be cool to see Honda maybe do a black interior or a blacked out interior like we have on the European model with the 19-inch wheels. And I think if they would have brought that version to the United States, I probably would have bought one. The 20s on this, although they do give you amazing performance, I think they're just a little bit too big for street use on the Type R. Anyway, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Real pleasure to get behind the wheel of this limited edition Type R. Definitely a special, special car. Very excited to see what Honda does with the next 11th generation Type R. That's going to be on my radar. We'll see what happens. I think this 10th gen, though, is just about perfect for someone who wants a driver's car that can work as an everyday. There are some concessions, there are some quirks and weird Hondaisms in this Type R, but at the end of the day, it is just a lovable, lovable car. And every time I get into one, I forget how good it is. This has been another great reminder. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Take care.